You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Training Thursday edition of the Cabral Concept in the new year. Looking forward to getting back to my Ayurvedic roots and teaching you a tip you may not have known about what is the optimal time to burn body fat and to be exercising during the day. So I want to share this with you, again, something that I learned back in my Ayurvedic studies and something that we use to this day for people with stubborn weight loss or for those people really looking to shed that last couple pounds as needed. So you may not know this, and what we're going to do is embed the previous podcast. Starting around episode 900, I did a weekly show on Ayurvedic medicine. Love you to go back, love you to tune into those shows as well. Beginning at episode 900, it was once a week, somewhere around 900, 907, 914, etc. So what I want today to talk about, though, because I did previously talk about the best type of exercise for each genotype or each dosha, but what I want to talk about today is Ayurveda knew, and again, in all their brilliance, people ask me all the time, how do they know this in Ayurvedic medicine? I don't have a perfect answer for you, but what I can tell you is this: they were much more in tune and in touch with nature and living in harmony with nature, and because of that, they knew how to get the body back into better balance, and that's exactly what we talk about. Now, again, we're only rediscovering these things this day, like in the 1900s, we're rediscovering what they knew over 5,000 years ago. Here's just a couple examples. There are three main phases of the Ayurvedic day, and it happens twice a day. I will teach that to you in just a moment. But we have the Kapha body type, the Kapha time of the day, typically noted as someone that gains weight more easily. So let's say they eat carbohydrates, they eat food how their friends would eat, and they tend to gain a little bit more weight. Now, there's a different body structure that goes into this. You could tune back for previous shows. Then on the opposite side of the spectrum, we have the Vata body type. And that Vata body type, they lose weight if they're not eating appropriately. They lose weight under too much stress, etc. And the Pitta body type, which is not exactly, can't say just in the middle, but they can be in the middle, typically denoted by body type as well, able to add a little bit more toned muscle, lean muscle, but again, they can put on body fat, they can lose weight as well. So what I want to share with you today, though, is it's interesting because the times of the day that associate with each one of those body types and that body type's struggles, we are now finding out in the 1900s and into the 2000s to a greater degree. So what I want to share with you are those times of the day, and then why this relates to burning more body fat and weight loss. Okay, so as we start our day, around 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. is the Vata time of the day. The Vata time of the day, the body is beginning to wake back up that nervous system. The Vata is the nervous system. So it's the movement of the body. It's characterized by air and ether. Again, you don't need to know what all this means, especially if you're new to Ayurvedic medicine. But it is exactly when our cortisol levels begin to first rise and our thyroid levels begin to first rise. And then at 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., we have what's called the Kapha time of the day. Now, interesting, because the Kapha time of the day would be more of that sluggish-based metabolism. Now, what are some of the issues characterized by the Kapha body type? Well, oftentimes more of a tendency towards higher blood pressure. Sometimes a tendency towards higher blood sugar and lower thyroid. What do we see exactly when we run people's labs? In the lab that we recommend running to see if you're having these issues is simply called the stress, mood, and metabolism test, also previously called the thyroid adrenal hormone. And what this does is it actually looks at those cortisol levels. Are they getting too high? Are thyroid levels getting too low? And then you can run your blood pressure right at home. You can check out my previous podcast I did on creating and setting up your own doctor's office right at home with a blood pressure monitor, oximeter, glucometer, all that good stuff. Simple to use, honestly, super simple to use. But also with the Kapha body type, we see a rise sometimes in blood sugar, more of a tendency towards type 2 diabetes. It doesn't mean that only Kapha body types get high blood pressure and type 2 diabetes and low thyroid, just that they are more prone. And again, we're seeing that now today. So keep that in mind. Kapha time of the day, 6 to 10 a.m. And then we have the Pitta time of the day. This finishes out the first half of the day, and this is 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. This is characterized by transformation, right? So Pitta is transformation in the body. It is taking nutrients, turning it into the body itself. So it is, that's only part of it, but that is a big part of Pitta. So Pitta is 10 to 2. Also, now we know, again, from even just terms of strength of digestion, 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, strongest digestion of the day. That means what? Well, that means you want to take advantage of that. What did they teach way back? This is in Hippocrates' time, that you want a medium-sized breakfast or so. Decent size. Easy to digest, though. And then you want a larger lunch. And then for dinner, which should be small. It should be smaller. Why? Well, your larger meal would be midday, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock or so, and that allows you peak digestion during that Pitta time. Because here's what happens next. From 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock, that's the Vata time, so a little bit more nervous system activity going on there. And then 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night, back to this more sluggish time of the day. 6 to 10 in the morning can be a little sluggish, right? Unless you do what? Have caffeine. Not for everybody, but you have more caffeine, because here's what happens. Body's naturally, it's just getting going. But, for us, in our Western-based mentality, we need to go, go, go. And so that's what happens. Well, when the Kapha body type, you give it a little caffeine, it becomes less sluggish, right? So that's why when we look 6 o'clock, it's slow. People say to me all the time, around 6 o'clock or so, I start getting tired. Well, I say, yes, you're supposed to. Now, I don't want you falling asleep at the dinner table, but what I want you to do is get your body ready to go to bed in a couple hours, right? So we don't want to ramp things back up at that time. But here's what it also teaches you. Is that you want to get in, if you are looking to lose weight, okay, I've never talked about this before. I'm going to do a whole show on it. If you are looking to lose weight, do not eat past 6 o'clock at night. We're finding this now for the glymph, okay, that has to do with the brain and its ability to detoxify at night. We're finding it in terms of heart rate variability. We're finding it in terms of the lymphatic system, of what else? Overall inflammation and overall quality of sleep. Stop eating 3 hours before bed or more, 3 to 4 hours. Now, I know 4 hours isn't going to happen for most people, but try. Do your best, right? Doing your best does not always mean landing on that bullseye every time. What it means is you're going to do your best. Some nights might be 7:30. Some nights might be 5:30. Perfect. Good. Then you're doing well, right? You're better than you were before. Just better your best. You don't have to get a gold medal at this right out of the gates. Just better your best. Every year I find myself able to stick to all of the new things that I want to implement that much more. Why? Well, I just get used to them. I get used to implementing that as part of my overall lifestyle. It becomes part of who I am. And also, I start to add a few new things. And as I'm adding new things, well, that makes these ones a whole lot easier, right? Because I'm like, I could do that. So I just want you to begin to add to the same thing. Super important, okay? So I know we're getting much more in depth in when to exercise, but if you are looking to burn more body fat, lose more weight, overall be healthier, this is it. This is absolutely it. So I'll talk about ideal fasting times for Ayurvedic times of the day, either next week or the week after. So stay tuned for that. All right, 10 to 2, 10 at night to 2 in the morning, transformation time. That's why you have to be in bed by 10 p.m. because you're going to begin to get a second wind, which happens at 10 o'clock. I teach this in the Fatlocity system. It is debuting today, and I teach that when to make your last meal, what to have as your last meal, when to start your breakfast, all of these things. But again, get in bed by 9:30, 10 at the absolute latest. That transformation, and we know this, it lines up with traditional Chinese medicine. It lines up with everything of when the body is doing a lot of that detoxification, which takes place before the next Vata cycle, which is the next day, 2 to 6 p.m., as the body then starts to begin its metabolic processes for waking the body up typically starting around 4 a.m., 3:30, 4 a.m., as thyroid begins to peak, as cortisol levels begin to rise, melatonin levels begin to decline. Again, this is all now physiologically verified on lab work. You can do it yourself as well on that stress, mood, metabolism test, but more so, I just want you to know the human body runs in a very systematic function. When it is thrown out of its normal equilibrium, it begins to break down. And then what we see is dis-ease of the body, starting with sluggishness, grogginess upon waking, bloating, digestive issues, skin issues, all of those things, okay? But remember, before it reaches that dis-ease level, there are foundational breakdowns. That is our job as integrative health practitioners, as functional medicine doctors, etc., to be able to help people find the actual systemic breakdowns that happen in the first place that then led to the disease. So in the long term, or in the long-term view, I don't care what a person's disease name is. And I know a lot of people sometimes get upset about that, but don't get upset about it. It has nothing to do with you because you are not your disease. What I don't want to get focused on is a name. I want to actually focus on all of the underlying root causes, one of them being blood sugar issues like we spoke about yesterday, that enable your body to become imbalanced in the first place, right? So, okay, back on topic, back at hand. I can save the second half of the show now for when to exercise according to Ayurveda for optimal fat burning. And I'll tell you this, if you look at traditional bodybuilding and fitness competitors, and again, say what you will, whether you want to look like that or not, that's not the issue. But believe me when I tell you that there is nobody more scientific and nobody better at transforming their body than figure competitors and bodybuilders. They have it dialed into a science with how they start to decrease carbohydrates, increase their cardio, all of those things. Guess when they do their fasted cardio? They do their fasted cardio typically around 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. in the morning. Why do they do that? Not because they knew the Ayurvedic time of the day to burn more body fat, because they know through trial and error and their coach teaching them and their coach teaching them that if you want to strip off body fats, do fasted cardio in the morning. And then you'll see this saying, oh, fasted cardio in the morning had no effect on this, this, and this. Well, sure, I don't know what else the people were doing. But if you are following a good nutrition plan and you're doing fasted cardio in the morning, you are going to burn more body fat. There's no doubt about it. And you can ask bodybuilders in the same position. Again, there are always outliers, but there's a reason why they've been doing it now for over 100 years that way. Can you do metabolic interval training? Yes. But what we're looking at is the kapha time of the day, 6 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. And we can see that even people who did split workouts to get themselves in great shape oftentimes did their cardio in the morning and their weight training later in the day. I'm going to explain that in just one moment as to why they may have done that, okay? So cardio in the morning, and most people aren't going to do double sessions. I'm not going to say that you are. So if you're able to, again, not everyone's able to because of hours and work and kids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Here's what you can do. You want to work out between 6 and 10 in the morning if possible. And the reason is that, especially if you do have higher levels of blood sugar, you're going to be able to use some of that sugar in your blood, okay? You're going to be able to, ideally, if your blood sugar levels are normal, low normal, you're going to be able to tap more into body fat, especially if it's not in absolute pounding of a workout where your body can just maintain a steady rhythm. Yes, you can do cardio. Yes, you can do intervals. Yes, you can do interval-based training. You can do resistance training. All of it's great. Get some cardio in though as well, okay? Because the cardio really does work along with whatever system you're using. And I don't even want to tell you which system to use. I'm okay with it. But I can tell you this, especially since doing this now for over 20 years, helping people transform their body in terms of getting in shape, and starting with nutrition and starting with personal training and then strength and conditioning specialists, all those different things, it works. It works. When you're looking to help people make weight, when you're looking to strip off that last 5-10 pounds of body fat, get out there, go for a walk in the morning, do your workout in the morning, whatever you need to do. If you say you have no time in the morning, try to go to bed a half hour earlier and wake up a half hour earlier and do your workout within that half hour. There you go. So again, you can make it happen. Again, we all live super busy lives, and I have no doubt that you do as well. But if this is a priority of yours, if this is a goal of yours, and you want to transform your body in 2020, let's do it. Let's go after it. Let's even try it just for 12 weeks. You can commit to that for 90 days. Let's do it for 90 days, okay? Don't crush yourself the first week. Ease into it. Remember, we want to stick with this. Consistency is always the key. Anybody can do anything for a week, but can you do it over 12 weeks? Can you do it over a year? Don't really get into something that you're not going to be able to commit to as something that you can use for the next few months and ideally years. Like, get into a program that you can do, that you can maintain. Don't crush your body in order just to get results, because you're not going to be able to stick with it. And you need to stick with the program, okay? So, super important, Ayurvedic, best time of the day, 6 to 10 in the morning to burn body fat. No doubt about it, especially fasted if possible. Now, people say, well, you said in a previous show not to exercise while fasted. Well, I said that if you especially are the Vata body type, or you're someone prone to spiking cortisol levels very high, because you're most likely just then going to spike blood sugar levels. So that is true. Remember, there is no all for one. I will never give you an all for one, but I'm telling you right now, for people who need to burn more body fat, this is a great way to do it. Okay, now, what about that other kapha time of the day? Because maybe in the back of your head, you're saying, well, there's another kapha time of the day and it's 6 to 10 at night. And you are correct. However, in the Ayurvedic world, as well as the functional medicine world, the first half of the day, from 6 in the morning to 6 at night, is your get up and go time. Switching between the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. Just kind of back and forth, back and forth. If you heard last Tuesday's show, you can kind of hear about that delicate balance. Oh, work and play, work and relax, work and eat, all that different type. But at 6 o'clock at night, and I know, again, especially my Wednesdays, I'm just going to tell you straight out of the gates. I eat before 6 o'clock or right around 6 o'clock, 5 nights of the week. One night, if I'm out with my wife, I'm typically going to eat maybe a little bit later. And another time is oftentimes on Wednesday nights. I eat a little later than that. Why? Well, I see people in my practice, virtually, but in my practice from about 7 in the morning to 7 at night. And so, yes, that's not conducive to it. So again, I'm letting you know, and I'm always trying to always be honest with you. I do my best, just like you do your best. Okay? That's it. Now, here's the thing, though. So, the 6 to 10 o'clock hour, though, is for then beginning the anabolic repair process of the body. It's the slowing down. So humans have what's called a diurnal rhythm, or they're a diphasic being. It means 2 routines, basically 2 rhythms. We have our day rhythm, and it works with the sunlight, right? Sun's rising somewhere around 6 o'clock, depends on the season of the year, and it's setting somewhere around 6 o'clock at night. Later in the summer, earlier in the winter, right? And it could be about a 2-hour swing in either direction. Well, in Ayurveda, if you really want to get in depth, they'll say, eat before the sun sets. That's pretty early during the winter, right? And then, but you do your best. That's it. 3-4 hours before bed. You'll still do okay with that. I like to shoot for 90%. Not always 100%. You're just going to do your best. So here's the thing, though. If you were to exercise between 6 and 10 at night, you would ramp back up a lot of those stress hormones. Cortisol may be one of them, when you should be letting things cool down. So what do I like people to do at night? Well, if they really, when they get home from work, like, I want to do a little extra exercise to burn some calories, having an upright bike at home, just to move slow, not really get the heart rate too high, 60%, 70% max heart rate, that's it? Okay, no problem with that. 20, 30 minutes, you want to burn a little bit more, I'm actually okay with that. It relaxes a lot of people. But what I'd much rather, if you are working out earlier in the day, simply go for a 20-minute walk after dinner. It will bring down what's called postprandial glucose levels, which means it won't allow your blood sugar levels to spike as high. That's important. And also have some protein at dinner. It doesn't have to be a huge amount. It will allow you then to not have as much of a dramatic spike at night. It's also why if you see in our Fatlocity meal plan, we don't go carb heavy at night. Some people are like, oh no, more carbs at night. Well, not if you really want to keep blood sugar levels where they should be. And I just gave the research behind that. Again, I'm always going by the research. So I live in the traditional methods of naturopathy and Ayurveda. No doubt about that, okay? TCM, etc. But what I talk about is also from a science-based perspective. And I talk about that on last podcast. It was episode 1418, the pros and cons of protein, I believe it was. And it just showed how protein and veggies, not a dramatic spike after meals. It's really not. And so I go through the meal plan in Fatlocity. But anyway, let's go back to the exercise. So why do some people, though, like again, the bodybuilders from before do their cardio in the morning, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. And a lot of bodybuilders, believe it or not, just walked. All they did was walk for an hour on that treadmill and they walked at a slight incline. Why? They kept their body in that fat burning zone. Now, say what you will about wanting to do high intensity interval training, etc. You can still do that, but there is still something to be said for walking and keeping the body in aerobic zone, aerobic. And I talked about that as well, because if you look at the clinical science, people actually burn more body fat in the short term by doing aerobic-based cardio. However, in the long term, it is detrimental, and that's why you need the strength training, resistance training. So I always say, why not do both? You can do high-intensity interval training and also aerobic cardio. You can do both. They don't have to be enemies. It's like, conventional medicine is not the enemy of natural medicine, and natural medicine is not the enemy of conventional medicine. We can work together. If someone has some type of life altering or potentially that you could kill them, that's what I'm trying to say. You want conventional medicine. You want to go to your emergency room. Please get the help that you need. If you're having a heart attack, don't call me or your integrative health practitioner or whoever it might be. Go to your emergency room. But if you need then to figure out, why did I have this heart attack in the first place? Or why did I have this, and this? Look at the underlying root causes. Again, the two are not enemies of each other. They work together. Even the yin yang in Chinese medicine, the dark and the light are not enemies of each other. They need each other to stay balanced. Too much of the white is too much yin. Too much of the black is too much yang. You cannot have one overpower the other, or what happens? We fall out of what's called homeostasis. We fall out of equilibrium, and the body is always in a state of what's called dynamic equilibrium. That's actually where equilibrium got its name, for those of you who don't know that. When I was reading book after book, exhausting out all of traditional naturopathy, which goes back to the 1800s and 1900s, and in Germany and Switzerland, and looking at, okay, what are they talking about? What are they talking about? I'm like, why do these people keep mentioning dynamic equilibrium? Well, here's why. Your body is always in a state of flux. It's always going up, down, up, down, up, down. I always call it a teeter-totter. And it's trying to achieve equilibrium at all times. That's what it does. So when you have type 2 diabetes, your body's out of equilibrium. Your cells are no longer receptive to insulin and the sugar can't get in the cell. Well, but again, you're pushed down too hard on one side of the teeter-totter. We can fix that. It's correctable. So these are all things to look at. Again, we're not treating disease. We're looking at the underlying root causes and fixing those imbalances. So I told you I'd give you one more part, and that is the 2 to 6 p.m. Oftentimes, people get great results as well working out between 2 and 6 p.m. with strength training, resistance training, high intensity interval training. Why might they get results between 2 and 6 p.m.? It's very interesting to look at it. You have to look a little bit deeper into the Ayurvedic research in this and understand just a little bit more about the actual body types, or doshas as they're called in Ayurveda. Well, that's the Vata time of the day, which again is very interesting to look at that, because the Vata is the leanest of all the body types. They're just naturally, they have thinner joints, longer neck, longer face, etc., etc. Well, it's interesting because when you're doing resistance training or body weight training or anything like that, the part of your body that's actually stimulated the most is typically the nervous system. The nervous system is what innervates the muscles to do the work, which is why people can also get great results doing high-intensity interval training, working out between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. Now, on the flip side, it can also be very stimulating for a lot of Vata body types during that type of the day. So again, you have to just work within your own body. Today, we're sticking more to people trying to burn more body fat, lose more body fat, lose more weight. So what I'm saying is there is benefit to doing AM cardio and working out in the AM between 6 and 10. That's the prime time of the day. You can still get benefit by doing it between 2 and 6 p.m. as well. Save the lunchtime hour for your nutrition, your food, and digestion. Okay, don't exercise an hour after eating. You can't exercise before eating, okay? An hour before eating, totally fine to do. Leave a little bit of space. So it's a good time to take off midday, right around the 10 to 2, and a good time to work out before that or after that. Or for those people that are ambitious, go for a walk after lunch. Remember, going for a walk after each meal is so crucial for helping to balance those blood sugar, healthy blood sugar levels in people with dysregulated blood sugar and looking to burn more body fat. Hopefully this has been helpful today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love talking Ayurveda. I know sometimes it can get a little bit deep. I always do my best to circle back around and show you how this relates to modern day science and how you can use this in your own life. So again, head on over to Instagram. It's just my name, Stephen Cabral. Connect on today's post, comment, let me know what you thought, your feedback, ideas for future shows. I'm here to help. Let me know. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, if this show was helpful, please do feel free to pass this show along to anyone you believe it could serve. Thank you so much. Have an amazing start to the year. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.